Hello everyone, you're welcome to the 24 Karat Hangout. My name is Nankus and I have with me Uncle Chris here to answer all your relationship questions.
Thank you, Nankus. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming here. So the first question we're going to ask Uncle Chris is as regards sexual purity. How would you, what is your take on maintaining sexual purity before marriage?
Okay, so sexual purity is very important. It would help you stay focused as a young person. Mm-hmm. It would help you excel in what you're doing, because one of the things that sexual purity helps you do is to not be distracted. So because a lot of people do not understand or know the power of sex or going into sexual activities. So it's important that young people understand that sexual purity will help you stay focused. You will not be distracted. You will excel easily at what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And of course, it helps also with your relationship with God. It would help you build a faith level. So sexual sin impacts your faith level. It impacts your faith. So if you really want to get results, it's important to build and maintain that relationship with God. And so that's why it's important not to be sexually impure as a young person. And of course, there are also several areas that you need to look at when it comes to sexual purity. Okay. It's not just about having sex. There is masturbation, there is pornography, there is just even your imaginations. You can fill your imagination with impure thoughts. So sexual purity is not just about what you do physically; it's about your mind as well. It's about what you engage in your mind. Because a lot of times it starts from the thoughts, and then before you know it, it has translated into the physical manifestation of what you're doing. So sexual purity is beyond all of these physical things. It's also a thing of your mind, because you need to, whatever thing is pure, those are the things you think about.
Yes. That is very true. I didn't even look at it in that light. So that leads us to the next question. Cohabiting. It's become like a norm. People want to live together. Okay, let me know this person's tendencies and all of that. So what's your take on the idea of cohabiting before marriage?
So if you look at it from a spiritual or the biblical point of view, there's really no place in the Bible that talks about cohabitation. But then if you look at the impact of cohabitation between a man and a woman, especially two people who love each other, because a lot of times people who cohabitate are people who are in a relationship and they want to explore, they want to find out what's going on. In some cases, it could just be because one person has accommodation problem, but then you are not the only person who would be able to provide accommodation for that person.
Exactly.
So the impact of cohabitation on even your relationship, it can be detrimental in the sense that it exposes you to a lot of temptation. It's easier, when you're cohabiting with someone, it's easier to fall into the temptation of sexual immorality.
Yeah.
It also blurs your understanding of each other. You're already jumping the gun. People who should live together are people who are married. So, but then when you have a case where before you get married, you are now cohabiting, so you are misplacing your priorities. No matter how difficult it will be, it's encouraged that you don't cohabit, because it's not your parents will not approve it. If you go and tell your parents, for instance, you go and tell your parents and say, "Daddy, I had a roommate in school, and as a lady, the person is a guy." I say he's a guy. If your parents will approve it, no problem. If your parents will approve it, no problem. But you and I know, we all know that our parents will not approve it. So it's not encouraging to do something that you are hiding and doing it.
Yeah.
Because cohabitation, you will definitely be hiding to do it.
So the next question now. there are people. I've heard someone say any relationship will get bestie inside. I know they do. What is your take on that idea? Because we've had even married people who have a best friend who is of the opposite sex, and sometimes everything is fine, but is it really fine?
It's not fine, no. You see, this bestie issue has caused a lot of problem. One of the things that I believe is that, especially for married couples, for instance, the day I got, in fact, my best friend ceases to be my best friend when I got married, or ceased to be my best friend when I got married. Yeah, I can call him my male best friend, but as far as best friend is concerned, my wife is my best friend.
Wow.
Because marriage makes the both of you one. So there's nobody that should be closer than your wife or your partner.
True.
So if both of you are one, then an external person is an external person. That person can be joined to you. So why would that person be your best friend? So in marriage relationship, even for young people who are going into marriage, you should have that mindset. The day you get married, your wife is your best friend. Every other best friend becomes second or secondary.
Okay, so now when it comes to relationships, we have in relationships, we have the guy has a female best friend, or the lady has a male best friend. They're not married. Yeah. Is this still okay?
Yeah, so I was coming to that because so for people who are not married, there is that tendency to have, because this best friend was there in quotes before the relationship you guys, both of you have. I think it's also the context that we use this bestie thing and the things that happen within the context of besties. A best friend in quotes should not interfere in your relationship.
Yeah.
A best friend should not have a say, in the sense that if my best friend does not say anything about this thing, I'm not going to take a decision about it. Your best friend should not feel like I know him more than I know you know him. So I have a right and I have a stake in that relationship. So when you have that problem of someone trying to be domineering or trying to show that they have authority over your man or over your girlfriend, then that's a problem. The person who is also saying bestie should be able to understand how to create boundaries. Because if you're dating somebody, you should be able to create boundaries in the sense that this is also my friend. This probably was my best friend before now. We are transitioning that relationship, because if I'm going to eventually get married to this person will eventually be my best friend. But for now, we are still all dating and all of that. We are probably not sure whether we're going to get married or not. But it's important to create a boundary amongst that. The best friend is not invited into your relationship. The best friend is friend. Yes, let's deal with you on a separate, relationship.
Yeah.
So what people don't do is that they don't create that boundary. This is my girlfriend. This is our relationship. You don't have any right to interfere or try to spoil it or try to feel like you have a stake. So if the guy can actually be able to protect, or the lady can actually be able to protect her boyfriend, or the guy is able to protect his boyfriend and separate both relationships, that would be great. Because the problem is boundaries. The problem is lack of boundaries, basically, in those type of relationships. So because it's a dating relationship, you will not particularly say this person should stop being my best friend, because this person, they may have grown up together. You may have spent 10 years. You are just coming 1 year or 6 months late, and then you want to dismantle that relationship.
Yeah.
So it's about boundaries for everyone. But if the both of you eventually get married, that person should stop being a bestie or stop being a best friend.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. So let's move to the next question. And it's a question that a lot of us struggle to answer. How do you know he is the one or she's the one?
How do you know he's the one or
This
she's
question comes up a lot.
Yeah. So in getting to know if someone is the one of the things that I'd like to tell people is, first of all, if you have an image of the person you want to spend the rest of your life with, when the person appears, you will know.
Wow.
If you have an image of the person you want to spend the rest of your life with, when the person appears, you would know.
Write that down.
So the problem with a lot of people being confused is that first, they don't know themselves. They don't know what their purpose in life is. They don't know where they are going to. So because they don't know where they are going to, they don't know what their purpose is, they don't know who to walk that path with them.
Mm-hmm.
So because if you really know yourself, you know your temperament, you know your abilities, you know your potentials, you know your purpose, you have your dreams, you are clear about who you are clear about where you're going to, it helps you to now know or to now create the image of the type of person that will fit into the person that you are and where you're going to.
Yeah.
So you have a list of different things about, okay, so because of the type of person that I am, this is the type of person that will fit. So when that person appears and you're looking and studying the person, if that person fits into your image, you already would know. So this is what you call law of recognition. So when the person comes, you recognize the person because you already have an understanding of who that person should be. So, but if you don't know your purpose, you don't know where you're supposed to go, you don't know what you're supposed to do, you get confused when different people start coming.
True.
So everybody who is coming to you would come saying they love you. So love is a universal or fundamental language that everybody will come with, but that's not enough. They may be born again, they may be Christians, they may be firebrand, but that's not enough. Because it is when you really, really know yourself, that's when you can be able to recognize the right person. And of course, you still have to take that into prayers. You still have to go to God in prayers to say.
I was actually going to ask.
Yeah, you still have to pray because if you have the Holy Spirit in you, there are a couple of things that when you pray about it, you have peace. You know that, okay, or God will say this is, God may not even exactly tell you this is the person, but there are indications or there are things that you would see. Or when you pray about it, you know that, okay, God is saying something. Or, God is giving you a word, or God is using someone to say something to you. Somehow, you would know, because you're a child of God, and God would not lead you into a problem, or a relationship that will not impact positively, So those are the areas, those are the things you look at. So you look at the spiritual side, you also look at the area of wisdom. So there are a couple of things you also need to look out for, because there are some practical things. For instance, you talked about purpose. The person you are supposed to go into a relationship with or get married to should also know where they are going to.
Exactly.
So if I can recognize you and you can't recognize me because you don't know what you're doing or what you're going, where you're going, is also an issue.
True, sir.
So
True.
both people should be able to know that, okay, we've looked at each other, we can fit. So purpose is important. I used to say 3 fundamental things before you even talk about any other thing. PVC. If you can remember your PVC, you can remember these 3 things. Purpose, values, character. Purpose is important. Values are important. Opposites may attract, but it is similarities that remain. Opposites attract, but similarities remain. So those things that are core values to you, those things that are important to you, that are your values or your value system, you guys should have similarity in those things. I can't say I love God, you say you don't love God, and we will work. We can't work. So there has to be similarities in a lot of things that are important to us. So if I list 5 things that are important to me, there should be some level of similarity or some level of, complementing, for us to complement ourselves, So values are important. I believe in God, you should believe in God. You can't say you're an atheist. I believe that Yahoo is not good. You cannot say, Yahoo is good and we'll work together. So 2 cannot work together except they agree. 2 people who are even Christians or believers, I believe in speaking in tongues, you don't believe in speaking in tongues. It won't work. I believe in tithing, you don't believe in tithing. It won't work. I bring our family money or I remove 10% to give that, you say lie. So those are the values. So that what this is trying to say is that even people who are Christians, because you are both children of God, does not mean that you guys can work together.
True.
So values are important.
True.
And then character. Character is like one of the most important things you need to look out for in someone. A lack of character in a relationship would impact how much hurts and sorrows you feel in a marriage or in that relationship. So if the more the bad character, the more the problem you would have in a relationship. So the less the bad character, the better the outcome of the relationship. So character is very critical. Character will determine commitment, character will determine dedication, character will determine, the way someone treats you and all of that. So these three important pillars are, very critical. And then with that, you can now begin to look at other things. But this for me is really fundamental. And that way you can use it to be able to identify someone who you can say, okay, I think I can live the rest of my life with this person.
Wow. That's amazing. If you forget anything, don't forget PVC. So I have 2 more questions before we go. So how do you start difficult conversations in a relationship? Like money, where are you going? How do I fit into your journey? How do we raise children? And those kind of difficult conversations, how do we start them?
Starting a difficult conversation I don't think it has a strategy. You just need to talk about it. If you're in a relationship and you know how important it is for you to succeed in your relationship, you have to understand that you need to have difficult conversations. I had a lot of difficult conversations with my wife. I wasn't scared of having those conversations. There were times when we would have conflicts, because conflict is about difference in opinion. We'll have conflict about the conversations. We would say, okay, let's go back. We'll come back and talk about it. So we take a breather, we go back, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it. We fought a lot. I was not scared to fight with her because I had already made up my mind that she's the one I was going to get married to.
Wow.
So the fighting was not a character problem. It was not a value problem. It was just a difference in opinion problem. And anybody will always have it. It doesn't matter who you are with.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that she also had her own mind and not just to always say yes, yes to me. So I liked that type of woman, So difficult conversations are important. It's important you have them. Sex, number of children. We had, conversation about number of children we're going to have. It was a difficult conversation because I wanted 4, she wanted 3. She wanted 2. We ended up,
wow.
with 3, at the end of the day. So those conversations are important because when you're dating or when you are in a courtship relationship, those are the foundational decisions that help your marriage. Because if you don't have those difficult conversations, you will have it in marriage. And it may be too late, or you would have to struggle, because sometimes people get married, they say, nobody told me about this. When they get married and they find out nobody told me about this, he didn't tell me about this, and then you're feeling like someone has deceived you into marriage. It's because you didn't have the time to have difficult conversations. So don't be scared to have those conversations that are difficult, that you may have difference in opinion, or you may even have conflict about it. If you're sure and certain that this is the person I want to be with, it's important to have these conversations, because those are the things that help to build the foundations of your marriage. So that when you start, okay, for instance, if you had a mindset that your money is your money and my money is our money, when we have those conversations before marriage, we can clearly know that, okay, this is where we are at for both of us as far as this topic is concerned. And then by the time you talk, you fight about it, and then you come to a conclusion. You know that, okay, for us, we have decided that our money is our money. So you are going into a relationship, or you're going into a marriage relationship knowing that you have taken a decision on that. You can decide that if you decide not to talk about number of children you would have, the man is thinking you're going to have 5 children. You say it's only 2. And then you get married, you start fighting about it. And then you now feel like someone is forcing you to do what you don't want to do. So it's important to have those difficult conversations. And that's what courtship is all about. A lot of times we just want to hang out, eat shawarma and be looking at ourselves and trying to kiss each other and all. So the times that you need to use to have conversations, you're not having those conversations.
True.
You're just dealing with the shallow things and not looking at the things that matter. But if you take the time to pin down those topics that are difficult, be intentional about them, and start having those conversations. And if you can do that within 6 months and 1 year, you would have taken a lot of foundational decisions that will help your marriage. And that's how to succeed in marriage.
Wow.
So have those conversations. They are difficult years, but they're important.
Yes, they're difficult, but they're important. So the last question on this episode: how do you keep the fire burning in a relationship or in a marriage? Sometimes we see young couples being excited and people just say, enjoy it while it lasts. You're just 3 months in your marriage. Don't worry. By the time you get to 3 years, it's not going to be the same. So how do you keep the fire burning in a relationship or in a marriage?
Communication is key. Communication, talk. And when I mean talk, it's not just about just having shallow conversations. It's about having deep conversations. It's about having conversations that would expose your vulnerability as a person. So if I have fears or I have anxieties or I'm trying to pursue a dream and I think that I'm not getting there, I'm tired, I should be able to have that conversation with the person I'm in a relationship with. I should be able to have that conversation with my spouse.
Yes, sir.
So it is those conversations that expose our weakness in quotes, but that's not actually a weakness, but that exposes our fears and our inner feelings. Those are the things that also help people to connect. It's not just about just talking about football and talking about that movie, but it's to say, okay, how do we build deeper connections? And conversations or having conversations is important. It's also important to understand the consistency of conversations. For some people who are in a long distance relationship, you cannot not talk every day. You cannot not communicate regularly because you have to prioritize each other. You have to create time to talk with each other and maintain that connection with each other. It's also important to know that relationships is about meeting each other's needs. For instance, women have emotional needs. So as a man, you need to be there for her emotionally. And being there for her emotionally, because there are times when she needs that emotional support. She needs her emotional bank account to always be full. And it has to do with you being there for her, you being there, showing up emotionally. So if, for instance, she's like, I'm so stressed, I'm so tired about this, my boss, he's always doing this, doing that. I say, oh, okay. I'm sure you'll be able to deal with it. You are not providing any form of emotional support.
Exactly.
What she needs is that she needs someone to hold her. She needs someone to, just let her know that it's going to be okay. How can I help you? Okay, so you're stressed. Can I help? How do I help you distress? What can we do? And then you encourage her. You provide that support to say, I'm there for you. I'm, praying for you. So is that support that she needs. The intentionality, being there. So we have different needs, both as men and as women. And if people, both, in a relationship or in a marriage relationship or a friendship relationship dating relationship, can work together to be there for each other, talk, communicate, stay committed to each other, meet each other's needs, then you would find out that it's easier to keep the fire burning. The little things that you do every day for each other is important. A lot of times you're waiting for that big thing. Those big things are good, but the little things you do every day are the things that keep you together.
True.
And then, of course, the big things could be taking advantage of special days, her birthday, Valentine's Day. Don't just feel like it's not important. It's important to the both of you. So take the time to celebrate them. Take the time to show that you value them. It means a lot to them. They may not tell you, but it does mean a lot. So those are good ways to score points and, show that you actually love them and create memories. So go on dates. You don't have to spend a lot of money to go on dates, just go on dates. The date time is for you to talk. The date time is for you to get to know each other. So spend that time to talk, because the more you talk and know each other, the more you build connection with each other. So there are quite a lot of things that you can do, but these are like very fundamental. One thing that you must understand about a relationship is that it's about two people, two servants who are coming together to serve each other.
Wow.
So it's not about one master and one servant. It's about two servants who come together to serve each other. So in serving each other, there should be competition. That's the only place I believe couples should have competition, in how to serve each other and outserve each other.
Wow.
Because the more you serve the other person, the more the other person wants to serve you. That love between the two of you keeps growing.
Yeah.
So I always say that love is like 5 loaves of bread and 2 fishes. It cannot multiply until you give it out. So the more I try to serve you, the more you try to serve me. The more I try to love you, the more you try to love me. It multiplies and it grows bigger.
Yes, sir.
So serving each other is one way to keep the fire burning. So, and then of course, as you keep building your relationship, you also get closer to God, because sometimes you may not figure out that person. Some things may be going wrong and you may not figure out that. That's where you need the Holy Spirit. And you can go and pray and say, God, I don't know what's going on, but I need you to help me to have the right words to speak to this person or to say, because I've tried to reach out, but there's a roadblock. Yeah. And then God gives you a word, and then you go to that person and say, I think, that maybe if we do this way and do it, and the person just breaks down and start crying. And then you've gained that access. Ordinarily, you may not be able to, but because you have the help of the Holy Spirit to help you, and because you put God at the center of that relationship, sometimes these are some of the ways that God can also come in for you. So that helps to build your relationship and keeps growing. So also pray together. Praying together helps to keep the fire burning and keep you growing.
Well, thank you so much, sir. This is an exciting moment for me. It's an exciting episode, I tell you. So if you have any questions that you would like us to help you answer, you can drop them in the comments section and we will answer them in subsequent videos. Thank you.